President Tinubu today met with state governors as well as oil marketers and has asked the Vice President Kashim Shettima to work out palliatives over subsidy removal regime. And tonight, we dissect and scrutinize the issues around Nigeria Air, a national carrier that's now gotten a lot of criticism. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimbale in Abuja. Let's tell you that more activities have been happening at the State House in Abuja, where President Bola Tinubu today was in a meeting with state governors in the council chamber. This is the first meeting a Nigerian Governors Forum led by its chairman and governor of Kwara State, Abdulrahman Abdulrazak, will be having with the president since he assumed office over a week ago. Also at the meeting is Vice President Senator Kashim Shettima, the newly sworn-in Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, and the National Security Advisor, General Babagana Mogunu, and others. The President Tinubu then directed the National Economic Council, NEC, led by Vice President Kashim Shettima, to devise an approach and begin the process of working on interventions to mitigate the impact of subsidy removal on Nigerians. The president's position was reviewed after his meeting with Oil Marketer Association with the governor of Ogun State, Dapo Abiodun, who was a former chairman of the group. The marketers expressed solidarity with the president for removing the 4 trillion naira subsidy burden, a move that can enhance the Federation Account Committee allocation to state. A group of marketers subsequently announced their intention to donate to up to 50 to about 100 of mass transit buses that would run on CNG, costing about 100 million naira each and about 10 billion naira cumulatively to cushion the effect of the removal within the next 30 days.
We need to begin to look at an energy transition, for the whole country, where we haven't appreciated the fact that we can no longer power our vehicles with either diesel at the prices or with petrol. We need to begin to look at what obtains in other countries, like Egypt, that's right here on the continent, where they have converted all their mass transit to run on CNG. In some other countries, their vehicles are running on either CNG or running on electricity. So these would be what would be sustainable, that would allow us to transport people, goods and services at prices that are reasonable. So that is the kind of thing that we are looking at, the kind of discussion that we are having with the president, and the kind of approach that this administration is looking at in terms of sustainability.
Governor Dapo Abiodun, who himself was a former chairman of the Oil Marketers Association. So we check out some of your political random stories, and when we come back, I will be speaking to a senator who is one of those who is carrying the flag of the APC on the agenda of the zoning. We had conversations on this program yesterday as to those who oppose the agenda of the APC in terms of the zoning arrangement. A lot of people say if Bola Tinubu's political sagacity is going to have any test since coming into office, this is going to be the very first assignment for him, politically speaking. We'll see how that pans out. And again, we'll be getting some insight on the Nigeria Air. There are a lot of those who have criticized, who have raised their eyebrow about that project. But those who say it is a good initiative. What exactly is this all about, this saga, this controversy? And lawmakers say it's a fraud. Is it? We'll find out more on the program tonight. So stick around with me, everyone. But first and foremost, let's check out some of your political random stories.
President President Bola Tinubu has sworn in Senator George Akume as the new secretary to the government of the Federation at the council chamber. Senator George Akume, in the brief ceremony which had dignitaries, including some service and former governors, took his oath of allegiance and oath of office. And the 9th House of Representatives has perhaps held its last plenary session today with a valedictory session. At the session, the Speaker, Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, restated his commitment to public service ahead of assuming duties as the Chief of Staff on June 14. The Speaker gave a thorough speech highlighting the aspects of his 2-decade legislative career. The federal lawmakers spoke about their success and time in the last 4 years. As the presidential election petition court continues sitting in Abuja, the lead counsel to the People's Democratic Party and its candidate, Mr. Chris Uche, has expressed concerns over the objections raised by the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) on the admissibility of documents obtained from the commission. Speaking to journalists shortly after the court adjourned hearing of the petition filed by the People's Democratic Party to Thursday, June 8, Mr. Uche says the petitioners paid INEC for some of the documents it sought to tender, only for INEC to object to the admissibility of the same documents. Attempts by the petitioners to call 3 more witnesses was opposed by counsels to respondents who asked for time to enable them study the witness statements, which was served to them shortly before the day's proceedings started. A faction of the Labour Party in Imo State under the Abure-led National Executive Committee has elected Festus Onyekwusili as the state chairman after a state congress conducted at the state secretariat in Owerri, the Imo State capital. While presenting the new state chairman to the party, the chairman of the Congress Planning and Organizing Committee says Mr. Onyekwusili, who was the former chairman caretaker committee, was re-elected because of his capacity and dedication to duty. The Social Democratic Party SDP says it will press criminal charges against the thugs involved in the shooting and attacks on the convoy of the party's governorship candidate in Kogi State, Mr. Muritala Ajaka, last weekend. Addressing the news conference in Abuja, the national chairman of the party, Mr. Shehu Gabam, accused the state government as the mastermind of the attack against the SDP candidate and called on Nigerians and the President Bola Tinubu to weigh in on the matter.
Thank you so much, everyone, indeed, for joining us tonight on the program. So let's get started. President Tinubu may have seen a false policy and economic test of his time in office. Well, it may be just about 2 weeks, but experts believe the true political baptism or test as president will be next week, when the National Assembly will be inaugurated and himself and his political party will be faced with a choice of who becomes its presiding officers. There are 4 positions in that, 2 in the Senate, 2 in the House of Reps. The others are, the ones that will be determined, but a lot of interest are on these 4 positions: the Senate presidency, the Deputy Senate President, the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker. Well, it is often said that it is a politics that should be played by the lawmakers, but it appears it is more than that. Yesterday, Senator Sani Musa, for example, insists that he will go ahead to run for the Senate presidency against the run of play. The run of play is that the APC has zoned and made an arrangement. The decision of the APC zoning arrangement has also been very criticized. Like the Senator-elect Abdulaziz Yari, former governor of Zamfara State, Senator Oju Uzokalu, the chief whip of the Senate, are insisting that they will go ahead despite the party's position. Where does the APC go from here? I'm being joined tonight by Senator Ali Ndume. Thank you so much, Senator, for joining us.
Thank you very much.
This is the first time since the assumption of office of President Tinubu, isn't it? That you're on this program.
Yeah.
So how are things shaping up for your party?
Oh, alhamdulillah, the renewed hope has begun.
Really?
You know, the mantra of the president before coming in during campaign is renewed hope, and we can see it. I'm very, very optimistic that things will turn around for the better.
His first test is that policy statement that he made. Subsidy is gone. Now there's a lot of backlash, and he's trying to deal with it. But so far, from your own point of view, as someone also who has helped in shaping policy over the years, how do you think the president has been handling it so far?
What is coming out from Mr. President is truly what I'm expecting. The issue of oil subsidy that he announced on the day of inauguration and the unification of the exchange rate these are two laudable policies that he needs to take, and he did. And I'm sure, as you can see, that the most painful one is that of the removal of oil subsidy. But as you can see, because of his honesty, sincerity, and purpose, Nigerians are understanding with him. Nigerians are people, good people, that will really understand with their leadership. And as you can see, the Labour have shelved their purported strike, and the president today put in place mechanism where we'll look at how we'll deal with the effect of the removal of the oil subsidy. This is something that is long overdue, and I commend the president for taking this bold decision, and I'm happy that Nigerians are with him on that. And there is initial shock and pain that is coming, but Nigerians are willing to take it because they know that this subsidy something is more of a fraud than real subsidy. And I can see that we'll get over it, we'll come across, we'll stabilize.
So there are those who believe that there are two positions, two areas, two sectors that need careful attention: the economy and security.
That's it.
This is also, I mean, like a spine in any government, and those who are already advised, and the president has sent to the Senate 20 had asked for, requested for approval of the Senate to appoint 20 special advisors. And those who are advising the president that, look, these people must be professionals. There must be people that will bring confidence into the system. What are your views about those who should occupy, or those the president should appoint in those two sectors, economy and security?
Well, as I said, the president is not a new person in the political arena. He knows what he needs to do. And as I said, from the appointments he has made so far, the SGF, Chief of Staff, others, he's on track. And I believe that he knows where to, or who is supposed to lead a certain sensitive sector. The Constitution says the purpose of government is security and welfare of its citizens. And I'm sure the president is quite focused on that. What I will advise is that he should not overplay loyalty. What I mean by that is he is somebody who I know never, ever leaves his loyal supporter or follower. And so he will be tempted to carry them along. Let it not be kind of trying to settle some people. But
political settlement.
Political settlement.
Those who believe that that's going to be dangerous, especially for security.
Yeah, for security and economy. And he should, as a matter of urgency too, have in place his national security advisor and also the national economic advisor. He should put in place a strong economic team. Unfortunately, he has a very capable vice president, very intelligent, not because he's from my state or because he was my governor.
Oh, you're a good friend.
And my good friend. I know Kashim personally. He's very intelligent. These are the kind of people, and his chief of staff is good. The SGF is, so we have started. And where there is going to be shaky situation normally is the relationship between the executive and the legislature. At least he himself is a senator. His vice president is a senator. Even his wife is a senator. Now his SGF is a senator. And his chief of staff is a speaker. So it's a kind of one government.
So, I mean, they should understand best. So, I mean, that takes me to where we're going to, my real reason of inviting you on the program tonight, and it's about the politics of the National Assembly and not losing sight of what the president should be doing. And because we've been setting an agenda for the Tinubu government, and now he's here, and now we are also not keeping our eyes and trying to guide and put the voices of Nigerians out there so that it can get the real position of the average persons. That there are a lot of expectations on him, and political payment and political compensation might not be tried for some position, it's probably going to be inefficient to do that. But let's get into the conversation of the National Assembly leadership. I know whom you support, and you are that kind of person that you don't hide your support for. I mean, when you were supporting Rotimi Amechi, you never hide it.
Never shied away.
You were supporting Godswill Akpabio.
Yes.
On what basis?
On basis
Is it because the party said so?
That is part of it. But there are so many factors that contributed to my decision to stand for Akpabio. Number one, because the president had interest and had Akpabio as his preferred candidate. And number two, he had the confidence of asking me to lead the campaign because he believes that I'll be able to pull the number that is required to see him through. And we thank God we're on that. But most importantly, it is about justice. It is about equity. It is about even the Constitution. It is about doing what is right and standing for what is justful for this country. This country belongs to all of us. You know what has played out circumstantially that led to the emergence of the president being a Muslim, the vice president being a Muslim, and then the need to have a balance because this country, as I said, belongs to us, and the Constitution, Section 14, is clear that the country should be run in such a way that no tribe, religion, or section of the country will feel marginalized. So the natural thing to do is to get somebody from the South particularly, and that person, the beneficiary of that happens to be Akpabio because he's the most ranking from that area. He has the experience and he's from South. And that's why I threw my support for him. And many Nigerians or senators elect, that is our colleagues, actually understand and agree to that. And by God's grace, on the 13th, Akpabio will now emerge, inshallah, as the 10th National Assembly Senate President. So,
I mean, you look at the progression and the manner in which activities in the last few weeks have gone, there was the steam was, it was sailing and it was looking comfortable, especially Senator Godswill Akpabio. There are those who are having problems with lawmakers amongst those four that the party had put their names forward. But recently, in the last few days, that sail, it seems some steam has gone off it. And Godswill Akpabio is not getting as much of that support. And, I mean, you know as much that I have my ears to the ground and I know a lot of things that is happening. And that there are a lot of people who are now opposing Godswill Akpabio's candidacy for that position. Well, are you aware of that?
Yeah, I am. But that's natural. In fact, they are trying to catch up. That is what I put, because when we started, we hit the ground running, and in 1 week, we were able to have endorsement from 60 senators. And as I'm speaking to you, I have 75 senators that signed or endorsed the candidature of Akpabio and Barrow. We call it the ABC. That is Akpabio Barrow campaign. We have 75. These are senators that signed for us.
When was that?
As of today, I'm telling you, we have 75
because
senators.
You know what? Do you know the reason why I asked you that question, Senator? You know why I asked you that, Senator? There are nothing less than 10 former governors who are senator-elect who are already on the other side. They have lined and queued up for Senator Yari.
10?
That, yes, not less than.
Oh, not less than 10.
Yeah, that's what we are.
Okay, so now that does not encroach on my number. I told you 75, and we are supposed to be 109. So it means that out there we still have 34 that are not with us.
What they are saying is that there are those who queued up behind you, but they don't have, they're just putting up a show, but in truth, on the floor, they will be voting for Yari.
Well, I cannot predict what will happen tomorrow, but I'm telling you that I have the number here. I can show you. I can show you the number.
You can bring it up.
I can show you, but it's my confidential something. I just want to show you that I have 75 senators here signed. And you know, Shehu, I will not come here for whatever reason to lie to you. I will not do that. If I don't have 75, I will not tell you that I have
I mean, what is happening?
Or you don't believe me?
I mean, well,
no. Let's.
The politics of National Assembly.
We have been together for a long time.
Yes, Senator.
You think I will come here and say I have 75?
I don't doubt that. But the question is that the National Assembly lead politics. I mean, a blink is actually could be a disaster.
Yeah.
You close your eyes for a second, you open it,
I agree
and
with
everything
that.
changes.
But all advantages are to our side. All.
What gives you the advantage?
1, we have the support of the party. 2, we have the support of the president. 3, we have support of that is most important, most of the senators. These senators, Sheun, sign on to endorse our program, not because of them.
Of physical signature?
Yes.
Of endorsement?
Yes. 75, I mean. It was 72, but 2 days ago, 3 signed on to it.
How many are they from the opposition?
Opposition? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know the exact, but it's about 30 or 40. We in the APC are 59. 59? Yeah, 59.
So you have just about
40.
About 10?
About 50
about 14,
on the other side.
yeah.
No, 50 on the other side.
So if you have 59, so out of 75.
No, out of 109.
Okay, I'm saying out of the 75 that you have now.
Yes.
How many are APC members?
APC are 40. Is it 43 or 45? Yeah. And we have Labour, we have all the parties.
Mm. And APC lawmakers in the present National Assembly is about almost 60.
Yeah, 59.
Yeah. So
we have 40. Yeah, the others are, some are standing on the fence, some are on the other side. And let me tell you another thing that is surprising me, but now I'm getting used to it, is that, but I have not really verified that some have signed on to us and then they went to the other side to sign also. So I'm like giving it, give or take, I say take 15, 20%. We're still comfortable, inshallah.
What number do you need to win?
55.
And you have 70-something?
Yeah. So let's say that some people will jump over at the last minute, That can happen. But I'm very confident. I don't want to be overconfident. Because, as you rightly said, people can change their mind. But we have a better candidate. We have 2 candidates that are in the front now. That is Yari and Apabio. And my candidate, or our candidate, has all the advantages over the other candidate. Looking at it politically, and intellectually, and, all this, we have an added advantage over that. And besides, as I told you, this campaign that I'm doing, or we are doing, or even the president is supporting, it's not Apabio. It's not about Apabio.
Is the president really supporting it?
Yes.
The president we've not heard him.
I heard from the president. The president told me that his preferred candidate is Apabio and I should lead the campaign.
But he said that to you in the closet, not in public?
No. Not in the public, but my own surprise is, do you think that is not true?
No. We've seen. Okay, so let me give you an instance. I know nothing less than 6 people last year said President Buhari. I told them to
that's
run.
President Buhari.
Just a moment, sir. Yeah, about 6 people said they got the endorsement of President Buhari to run. And should I disbelieve these people? No, it was President Buhari who said it.
Yeah, but
covering this bit, this is my 2 decades on doing this job, Senator. Things happen, and that's why I'm asking. If the president had not made the
not with Asiwaju, not with Asiwaju. Asiwaju, if he gives you his word, go and put it in the bank. He will not change it. And another person will not come to the same Asiwaju to tell him that, look, I had the experience with him. We are close. When I wanted to contest for Senate President, I sent a delegation to him. He said, I've already committed myself to Mr. President, to the candidature of Ahmed Lawan. Yes, I know Ndume, and he's close to me, but I've given my word to the president, and I'm not going to withdraw it. He told me this face to face. So if Tinubu says, I will be surprised. I will be really surprised.
Is he committed to it more than the words?
Yeah.
Because the politics of National Assembly is different from
Tinubu,
that.
Please, not Tinubu.
You have to put boots on the ground to be able to get a word.
We are the boots on the ground. myself, we are many.
Do you have the wherewithal?
Yeah, inshallah. We're there, inshallah.
Senator, there is a huge opposition, and I mean,
that's normal.
I don't like to mention names, but I'm pushed to mention names of those who are now working. All the political enemies of Akpabio have come in a group together. You know that, right? Even former Senate President.
Yeah.
Even
but
members of the party.
We are talking to them. They are softening grounds. I can assure you that even the Senate President, you know, they had issues with Akpabio. People have issues. It's normal. In fact, I'm one of the, even look at it, they are the biggest advantage of it that I'm leading the campaign. And so many people also are not happy that I'm the one.
What is the need for you?
Huh?
What is the need for you?
The need for me?
What is in it for you?
Me?
Why are you passionate about it?
Look, the Senate is an institution, or the National Assembly I benefited most. And I think I'm the #2 beneficiary. I've been there for the 6th time now. My only senior there is Amelon. I'm the most senior. That institution is part of me. I am passionate about it. And that's why I'm keenly interested in the leadership. I'm not indispensable. I would have said that I'm the best. But I'm not indispensable.
What if there is a surprise on that day? Are you prepared for the worst?
Yeah, it's normal. We had it before.
But I guess you will not be sleeping at the car park.
Well, if we have to.
You would sleep at the car park.
It's not the first time now.
Well, I mean, let's leave politics aside for a moment and let's look at what is the need for Nigeria. I asked what is the need for you. But this time around, I'll be asking what is the need for Nigerians? Why should the Senate presidency go to Akpabio? What is his agenda? Why is it the person that will shape policies that will be coming out of National Assembly for the benefit of Nigerians? What are these plans?
Let me tell you the plans. In the next 2 days, or 3 at most, we'll come out with a 10-point agenda for the 10th Assembly. I had one. Jibrin Barrow had his agenda. Omai, he had his agenda because he wanted to be. Oshomole had his agenda because he wanted to be Senate President. But all this because of the presidential intervention and because it is the right thing to do to support somebody from South-South, and that person that is most qualified from South-South is Akpabio. We are now collapsing all our agenda into one to come out with a 10-point agenda which will soon be unveiled to the Nigerian public, which will be like our working document to see that the National Assembly, the 10th National Assembly, will be the institution that Nigerians will be proud of to provide what we even started, stability. Because the president needs stable political environment and he needs the support that the National Assembly constitutionally is vested with in order to make him succeed, because Nigerians are eager. Nigerians are full of so much expectation for him because of his nature, because of his experience, because of his resourcefulness in terms of human and others. Nigerians are expecting too much from the president, and we cannot afford to be destructive. And that's why we have been talking. We are now looking forward to maybe having a situation where we will get to a consensus. We walk into that chamber that day with Yari in the front, Ojikalu, and all this, Sani Musa and Ozina. So those are the candidates now that are still, kicking. And we will all come together to say, look, let's give Akpabio, let him preside. Besides, this time around, we're not going to have senators president. Inshallah, we are going to have Senate president. Previously, we used to have senators president. This time around, it's different. That is why we are not making promises in our campaign that, we'll give you this committee or that committee. No. Come on board. Let's make Akpabio the Senate president. Once we succeed, then we'll close ourselves in the closed session and sit down.
Do you know what your critics are saying about this 9th National Assembly and their fears to the next one? They've tagged the 9th National Assembly as a rubber stamp. How do you work against that kind of appellation that some of the critics have labeled you?
There must be a demand before the supply. Tinubu, the president, is not that type of person that needs rubber stamp. No. He is an experienced legislator. He will need a very active and vibrant legislators to discuss issues, matters, and, thrash it out. That is what was lacking in the 9th Assembly. When they bring something, you just say, oh, take it. The president can never be wrong, so you just give it to him. And it's full of mistakes because these things are not made by the president himself, but by his staff who have interest. They have vested interest in everything, and that was why we find ourselves.
How can the 10th National Assembly, as blessed or as directed by President Tinubu, be an opposition or be working, checkmating what President Tinubu is saying?
What is right is what right, and what is wrong is wrong. The law is clear about oversight. It's not about checkmating. It's not about trying to find faults in somebody. No, it's about working, putting heads together, legislators doing, enacting good laws for the progress of the country, and the executive also bringing in policies.
But it's part of your roles to oversight.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying
executive
oversight.
So some of the criticism is that they are asking where were the lawmakers when the Nigeria Air policy was being made.
Which air policy?
The Nigeria Air. I mean, when you were coming out now, after it was unveiled, it will be part of our conversation.
Yeah, you have an expert there that
absolutely,
will talk about.
But that's what I'm saying.
It's a good lawyer.
Some of the criticism is
that is the problem with the 9th Assembly that you are talking about.
Yes, that's one of the issues.
In a bid to satisfy the executive or not to even look at it as if you are confrontational with the executive, we ended up, to some extent messing ourselves up because we did what the Hausa people said, doing in excess of what you are required. You say, oh, the president will never be wrong. And the president also trusted his people. And as I have been saying several times, that the government, the mistake that the President Muhammadu Buhari, by his nature, is just he gets some bunch of people, even based on somebody's recommendation, and he will give all the trust without checking, without oversighting, or without putting an eye onto how that person does whatever. And that's how we find ourselves. But his intentions all through were very good intentions. But then he had a lot of kleptocrats, a lot of plutocrats around him, and they messed some things up.
Senator, let's wrap up now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of expectations. Nigerians are looking and Nigerians are watching. Not only what the National Assembly is doing, but the mandate that some of them gave to Bola Tinubu and his team. And they will be watching all through to see how this is being delivered. What should Nigerians be expecting from your party going forward into this administration?
Simple. The president's mantra is on track, and that is there is renewed hope for Nigerians. And you can see it. Don't you feel that? There is a good feeling. There is hope, full of hope in the air in Nigeria. That is because of the confidence we have in the president. The president is out there. He tried it. He tried so many people. He tried 3 people. 2 were unsuccessful. He sponsored. He supported Atiku. It did not work. He supported Ribadu. It did not work. He supported President Buhari. It worked, but it did not pass. Now he is there himself. So you can understand why Nigerians, or even somebody like me, have a lot of expectation for him.
Those who say that the appointment that he makes in the next days will determine how they will perceive his government.
Or the appointment that he has made already has given us that hope. He has appointed the right people into these 2 key positions. The Secretary to the Government of Federation, he appointed the right person to be his chief of staff, and that is Femi, with experience. These are grassroots politicians. They know the feelings of Nigerians. Right. They are in contact with Nigerians. Somebody, especially Akume, is a grassroots politician. Right. He was a governor. He was a senator. He was a minister. And now the Secretary to the Government. He knows so much about Nigeria. He knows he is politically exposed and grounded.
All right. Senator.
Yeah.
Ali Ndume, Senator representing Borno South, right? In the National Assembly. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time tonight.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. But we'll take a break. And when we come back, yet another senator will be joining me. He's a member of the Aviation Committee in the Senate, Senator Ibn Naala. And we'll be looking at the controversial Nigeria Air. What happens to that idea? Is it an idea that has a problem or the process that has a problem? We'll be getting insight from him tonight. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Thank you so much, everyone. The unveiling of Nigeria Air, Nigeria national carrier, is being described by federal lawmakers as a fraud. The lawmakers poked holes in the purported launch of Nigeria Air at the twilight of the administration of former President Muhammadu Buhari, declaring it as a fraud. The lawmakers believe that the launch of the Nigeria Air didn't involve major stakeholders in the deal between the federal government and Ethiopian Airlines, denying knowledge of the launch. The Ministry of Aviation claimed Nigeria Air was only unveiled and not launched, which the committee dismissed as an attempt to divert a lawmaker's attention. Let's get some perspectives on these, everyone. I'm being joined by Senator Ibn Naala. Thank you so much, Senator, for joining us.
Thank you very much, and thank you, viewers.
You'll be taking a break after this ninth assembly?
Not necessarily.
I mean, from politics. I mean,
yeah.
You're not returning. You're one of those senators not returning.
Okay, let me answer you, yes.
How does that feel, though? What are your plans?
I have a lot of plans.
Politically speaking.
Yeah, I'm still in politics. So you must not necessarily serve at the Senate. You can serve elsewhere. The most important thing is to assist your party to be able to deliver on its promises to the people.
You're sounding like a prophet now, remembering my conversation with you.
I've always told you, and then those things will come to pass.
Can you share with Nigerians your views?
Well, you remember, Shehu, on this platform, we have had argument back and forth with you about the impact of social media and what it's going to do to the Nigerian public. You have seen that. I've equally told you that the way we are going, we might not be able to have some reasonable hold on our ministers that were appointed under the last administration, and then they might end up, messing up the achievement of the Mr. President, and I'm sure you've seen what has happened. A host of other things that we have talked about, and I told you that Nigerians will one day come back and be looking for the social media bill. That has come to pass. They did, though albeit unsuccessfully. But you see, there is what we call the doctrine of reasonable foreseeability. And that is that which a reasonable person acting reasonably will foresee. So, because it is one thing to be reasonable, it is another thing to act reasonably. So anybody with some little knowledge of how this country is governed can, with the slightest intervention, see where things are going wrong. And then you can never have a perfect government that is being run without those problems. But those problems should be addressed
from what you're saying and what you've said in the past. What would you like to tell this present government?
Well, happily enough, the last speaker has told you what his position is about the present government. No government has been duly consulted with some icing of competence than President Tinubu's government for now. And we keep on hoping that he will straighten that, by his subsequent action. And then we keep on hoping that those he will trust with position of authority will equally understand that the last hope of Nigerians is on this government. And therefore, whatever is practically possible must be done to ensure that that promise of renewed hope is met. Otherwise, you cannot predict the consequence of what is going to happen after that. So that is why it should be the responsibility of both the citizens and the government to understand the fact that we have reached a stage where certain explanations that were available in the past to Nigerian citizens may not necessarily, play any role now in our future journey politically.
Let me take you to one area that you know so well. Do you still fly an aircraft?
I'm still an active flying pilot.
Well, interesting. So, I mean, the idea of a national carrier, a good one or a bad one?
Excellent, excellent idea. Because Nigeria has a population of over 200 million people. And we have had a long history of being a dependable source of aviation in the continent. During the time of Nigerian Airways, I'm sure maybe you are a young boy at that time, but everyone who has existed in the 70s will have told you that we had a robust national carrier that every Nigerian was very proud of. In fact, people hardly traveled by British Airways or Lufthansa or anything. It was Nigerian Airways because it was cheaper, it was reliable, it was safe, it was run efficiently until things began to change. You understand? Now, aviation is a very, very complex and sensitive industry. And therefore, it has always insisted that in its program of action, at whatever level, stakeholders must be taken into account. I think that is where we had issues with yeah.
So let's take it one after the other. You said having a national carrier is a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
But with the Nigeria Air and the manner in which it went under the minister, Sirika, former Minister of Aviation under the Buhari government, what do you think went wrong?
I think what went wrong was that the minister had a lot of self-confidence in his ability to do this alone. Now, that is not acceptable in aviation.
When you say alone,
yeah, alone,
who should he have carried along?
He should have carried the stakeholders, the National Assembly, and then some experts who will have given him the necessary advice, you understand, to carefully, navigate through the process. But you can see that somewhere along the line, I think he had a lot of confidence in his ability to do so, alone. So he kept everything to his chest as a minister, and therefore he was busy pursuing this matter to actualize before the handover of government May 29. Of course, like I have told you, because of the sensitivity of the industry, because of his requirement to carry along stakeholders, if you don't do that, you will definitely not succeed.
But the question is that when the lawmakers are talking and describing it as a fraud, there are those who came out to say, where were you guys when this idea was being raised?
Thank you very much. The House of Representatives said it's a fraud. And every Nigerian has right to ask, where were the lawmakers? But the issue is, you do not go to run a ministry for a minister. You don't do it.
But you play an oversight role.
No, let me tell you, that's where you are getting it wrong. If you look at the entire budgeting process for the last 4 years, the entire budgeting process, most of the expenses regarding Nigeria Air were not there, and we were supposed to be oversighting what we have budgeted for the implementation. For example, if things have gone wrong about airport facilities, airport infrastructures, and the rest, you can blame us. Here, what we expected was that in the requirement to consult stakeholders, the minister will have known, or should have known, that the National Assembly is equally a stakeholder in this thing, and then he should have taken the National Assembly along.
Yeah.
But you see, he had consultants. Allegedly, that's what we were told. And those consultants were the one driving the process. And until he comes to us and say, look, this is where we are, this is the help that we need, we cannot just go and tell him we cannot be legislator and be ministers at the same time.
Senators, let me ask you, is it a fraud because stakeholders were not carried along? Or is a fraud, according to the lawmakers, based on discrepancy that you have found out in the funding or the financing or in the administrative dispensation of this project?
Well, Shehu, happily enough, I was a member of the Senate in the 9th Assembly. I was never a member of the House of Representatives. And I'm sure, from what you have read and seen, it was the House of Representatives that described that process as a fraud.
So from the Senate point of view,
we never said it was a fraud. But we admitted the fact that there were certain things that were wrong, that were done wrongly, and if certain things were taken into account, we will not have been in this needless controversy. So it will be uncharitable for me to comment on whether it's a fraud or not when I have not come to the conclusion that it is one.
But from your point of view, is it a fraud or not?
No, I will not say it's a fraud because I have no reason to say it's a fraud. Let me tell you, it was a well-intentioned project. But what went wrong, I believe, I hope I'm wrong, was that the ministry kept everything to its chest. So necessary advice that will have helped the project to seemingly, seamlessly, how do I develop?
Yeah.
Were not available to the minister. And like I told you, based on what we were told, he was working with consultants. And those consultants were the ones advising him. So, but he has to take responsibility as a minister. But what is important is that the end result will show clearly that things really went wrong in the process.
Let's break it down. There are 5 stages before the final approval for the takeoff of the airline.
Yeah.
It's gone through the very first, which is perhaps one of the shortest.
No, it's not one of the shortest, because that space holder position works this way. You want to run a television station. You want a newscaster. Has he actually been to School of Journalism? Yes. What was his course? Yes. How was he? This is what NCA will be looking. So the aviation industry, the Nigerian Air will say, look, one, we need captains. The NCA will look at them. What is their record? How many hours have they? Do they have the capacity to safely fly this aircraft? They will say, okay, this is the engineer to be maintaining this aircraft. NCA will look at his record. For how long has he been maintaining similar type of aircraft? What are his results? Because we have logging.
So the reason why I asked that question, Senator, is because if there are procedures, I mean, you said from the financing and the funding and all what you're saying, you don't think that it's a fraud, but because he didn't carry people along.
No. Because he maybe, you see, whether you like it or not, the outcome of what has come shows that there was problem. So we are only speculating because the minister is the only person who can speak for himself. But what we are saying is that if he had consulted widely, if he had taken the stakeholders along, it will have been an issue of collective responsibility. But the fact that people are now denying the process shows that they were really not taking along.
That's why I'm saying the breakdown now, from the procedure, there are 5 stages. He's gone through the 4th stage.
I think he went up to the 3rd stage, the Nigerian Air. But you see, if, for example, the industry is so sensitive, let's take channels as an example. If you say, okay, Shehu is the program manager for, let's say, Politics Today, and then based on that, MBC is satisfied with his, with his knowledge of journalism and his ethics regarding the presentation of the program. MBC will say, okay, we are okay, he can run that program. That's how the aviation industry works. So, stage 1 is to present those people who are going to run the airline.
The airline,
yes. This is our mechanic. The equipment we are going to use is 737. And don't forget that in aviation, the man who takes care of avionics is different. The man who takes care of the airframe is different. The man who takes care of the engine is different. Even the man who is vulcanizing the tires for the aircraft are all different. And they all have to go through training. And then they all have to log certain hours of that to show competence. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Now, because you are talking about safety.
You look at one of the things that a lot of people have raised an eyebrow. A young man, David, was the one who first came to town to say, there's something wrong about this. It's an Ethiopian chartered airline. And that a few days before, this was the activities, he tracked it and trailed it up on the point that it returned to the Bole International Airport in Addis Ababa and all the activity. And it came to the light, and a lot of Nigerians now were saying that, there's something wrong. From that scenario, how would you describe what has gone wrong?
Okay, let me tell you something.
Or what went down?
Let me tell you something about aircraft. From the day that an aircraft is pulled out from the factory where it's manufactured, till the end when it is fully decommissioned, every detail about that aircraft you can know by looking at the logbook. There are so many in the engine has.
But if Nigeria Air, it's been said that aircraft is not a Nigerian Air. It's not. It's part of the partners, the operators, and it's being painted to make it look like it's a Nigerian aircraft. And that's what I'm asking you.
Yesterday...
How would you describe that scenario?
Yesterday, if you have watched me clearly, Captain Olumide said, The whole idea was to come and make and unveil the aircraft to show to Nigerians this is how we are going to look like when we start operating. That's what he said. And I said to him, yeah, but was that necessary? He said, yes, it was necessary. Sorry, he said it was necessary. Then I now asked him, was it reasonably necessary to have done so? Because you can paint any other aircraft, even the ones that are there, and then show this is how it's going to look at. But you know, everybody has his own way of approaching issues. Maybe they felt it's 737 we are going to operate and there, but there are a lot of 737 here that can be painted internally, and they will carry Nigerian number. For example, those that belong to ARIC, those that belong to Airpeace. You understand? So, but they have their own reason for doing what they did.
Senator, finally, what is the way forward from here?
Well, it's very difficult to honestly and clearly say the way forward. And I will tell you why. Because until you know what went into that Nigerian air, you cannot just come and provide solutions based on ignorance. So you should have some knowledge.
So the Senate or the National Assembly is not aware of the details?
What details are we aware of? I'm
asking. You guys are not aware.
As far as the Senate is concerned, we were aware that there was going to be Nigerian Air. We were aware that some consultants were asked, because in one of the briefings that the minister gave us, we were equally aware that he said that he had a meeting with stakeholders. But again, we are equally aware that the stakeholders came and said the details of that were not made available to them, so therefore they could not have participated. You understand in that. So it's back and forth. But I think the simplest advice that I will give is that whoever is coming to take over from the minister should be careful enough, you understand, to unwind the process in such a manner that he will not injure the country. Because we don't know what have gone into it. Yeah.
Senator, Ibn Naala, it's good to see you again. Thank you so much
for your time. Thank you very much. Thank you.
That's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Kimale. Bye-bye.